Hello again, my dear students, and welcome again to this video. This is the video number 2 for first bac students. So it is about grammar. This lesson in the unit number 8. So the lesson number 2 in grammar. The name of this lesson is conditional type 0 and 1. So let's start. The content or the objectives of our lesson today, we are going to start with warm-up activity, examples, structure or the form, the usage or the use of conditional 0 and 1, practice, and the last one, production. Now, if I ask you a question, if you mix red and blue, so red plus blue, what is the color that you get? Good. If you mix red and blue, you get purple. Okay, nice start. Now let's take a look on some examples here. The sentence number 1, if you heat ice, it melts. Now, can you please find a verb? Good. You are going to say to me that there are two verbs here. So we have the verb number 1, to heat. So it means to put something on fire. And we have the verb number 2, melt. Okay. Now this is a sentence. But here we have two parts of the sentence. We have the part number 1 and the part number 2. Any part of the sentence we call it clause. So it means a group of words. So it may have a subject and a verb, and it is or it contains a part of the sentence. We call it clause. And here we have two types of clause. This one with if, we call it if clause, and this one, so it is the result, we call it the main clause. Now let's take a look on the meaning of this sentence. If you heat ice, it melts. Like here in the video, so it means if you put ice on fire, so or we have a high degree of temperature, automatically it melts. The sentence number 2, if water gets too cold, it freezes. Now, can you find the verbs? Good, we have two verbs. We have the verb gets and we have freezes. Okay, both of them are conjugated in which tense? Great, in simple present. Now we have two clauses. Can you find if clause? Good, if clause, so it is this one. If water gets too cold, we call it if clause. And result, or the main clause, it freezes. Let's take a look. Okay, like this. So it means if water becomes too cold, automatically it freezes. So it is a fact. The next sentence, if you touch fire, so it means if you put your hand or your finger on fire, you get burned. Can you find the verb here? We have two verbs in simple present, touch and get. And we have two clauses. If you touch fire, if clause, you get burned is the main clause. Now this is fire. Next sentence. If you heat water at 100 degrees, it boils. Can you find the verbs here? We have to heat, so it means to put on fire. And we have next one, boils. So here we have water is boiling. Okay. Now let's move to the structure of the sentence. We have the sentence, it contains two clauses. We have if clause and you have the main clause. Okay. For example, in conditional 0, we can start with if clause, then after we have the main clause. If you touch fire, so it is if clause, we have to put comma here if we start with if clause, then here we have the result or the main clause, you get burned. Good. But here we have another possibility. We can start with the main clause and after it we have if clause or the condition, but we don't have to put comma here. Okay, you get burned if you touch fire, and both of these sentences are correct. If we start with if, or we start with if clause, or we start with the main clause, both are correct, but we have to bear in mind that we need to put comma, and here no comma. Now the structure or the form of conditional zero: if clause plus the main clause or the result. If let's start with the form or the structure of if clause. We start with if plus the subject, so it can be a pronoun or a noun, plus the verb in simple present, like heat. So it means any verb here we have to put it in simple present if you are talking about conditional zero. Now the main clause or the result, subject, like it here, verb in simple present. Okay, if you heat ice, it melts. Now let's move to the usage of conditional zero. So it means when we have to use it, we use conditional zero in order to talk about fact or truth. It means something that cannot be changed. So it is a fact. If you heat ice, automatically it melts. So it is a fact or truth. Now let's move to conditional one. So it is another type of condition. Let's start with the sentence number one. If students study hard, so it means they work hard and they do a lot of homework and they revise, they will have good marks. It means maybe 20 out of 20, 18 out of 20. Okay, if students study hard, they will have good marks. Can you find the verbs here? Good, we have two verbs. We have the verb study and we have the verb have. So it is conjugated here in future simple, will plus the verb in infinitive. Now can you find if clause? Great. If clause, it starts with if. If students study hard, we call it if clause. It means the condition. Now the result or the main clause, they will have good marks. Okay, good. Now if I have time, I will watch a movie this night. Can you find the verbs? The verb have and watch. Good. This one if clause and this one main clause. The sentence number three: if it rains this month, farmers, like this person, so it is a job, farmers will be very happy. Okay, we have the verb rain in simple present and we have the verb to be. The last one, Fatima will get fit, so it means will have a great body shape. Fit is the opposite of being fat. She stops eating fatty food, so it means any kind of food that make you fat, like fast food, hamburger, etc. Now here, as you notice, we start with the main clause, then we move to if clause, and we don't put comma here. So we can start with if she stops eating, or if Fatima stops eating fatty food, she will get fit. Both are correct. Now, what is the common point between the verbs here and the main clause? All of them are conjugated in which tense? Great. They are conjugated in future simple. It means will plus the verb in infinitive. Now let's move to the structure of conditional one. We start with if clause. comma, main clause, or we can start with the main clause, no comma here, and if clause. Like this. If I have time, I will watch a movie this night. Or I can say, I will watch a movie if I have time. Both are correct. Now the form of if clause here, we are talking about conditional one. If plus the subject plus the verb in simple present. Clear. Comma plus the subject plus the verb not in simple present like the conditional zero, but in future simple. It means will, the modal verb will, and as I said to you before, that any modal verb, after it the verb must be conjugated in the must be put in infinitive. Okay, will be, will work, will play, will succeed. We have will plus the verb in infinitive. When do we use conditional zero? We use it to talk about possible event in the future, something that is possible or likely to happen. Okay, so it means possibility. Now it's clear, and I think you know what is the difference between conditional 0 and 1 and their form. Let's move to practice. The question number 1, complete with the right word. It means I have to choose the right word. Let's start with the sentence number 1. If there an eclipse, as you here, as we have in the picture, we have this is, we call it an eclipse. Okay, in the day the sun. So we have here an eclipse. It happens when the moon moves between the earth and the sun. So we call it solar eclipse. Okay, now you have to choose only one verb here, is or will see, and here is or can't see. The sentence number 1, when you in Rome, it is a city in Italy, do as the Romans do. Water, if you turn the tap, and this is the tap, okay, and this is the verb to pour, sorry. So we use it to talk about something like water. People don't look at the sun if there a solar eclipse. This one in the picture. What you are going to do, complete or choose here the right form or the tense of the verb. You have 5 minutes here. Okay. So when time is up, try to set your timer for 5 minutes and do the exercise. And when time is up, move to the next exercise. Choose the correct verb or the correct form of the verb. If you will eat an apple every day, you will be happy. So it means here we are talking about possibility, we are talking about possible events. It means conditional 1. Try to remember what is the form or the structure of conditional 1. If we don't protect elephants, they will become extinct. It means they will disappear. We are not going to find them. He will pay higher insurance if he doesn't buy sport car. He will see better if she turns on the lamp. You will have have a heart disease if you eat too much meat, and this is meat. You won't, it means you will not pass the course If you don't study well, study well. If a deer gets into your garden, it means here an animal that eats the plant. It will eat all your plant. What you are going to do here? Set your timer for 5 minutes. Then we are going to meet. Okay, when time is up, move to the last exercise here. Number 3. Complete the conditional sentences type 1. It means we are talking about conditional 1. If you eat an ice cream, you have hot chocolate. It means you are going to conjugate the verb, but bear in mind the structure of conditional 1. If I have if clause, the verb in simple present. The main clause, the verb in future simple. Will plus the verb in infinitive. If she need a computer, her brother give her his computer. If we have not time this afternoon, we meet tomorrow. He talked to her if you want not to do it. You win not the game if you know not the rules. 5 minutes again. So when time is up, try to compare what you have done. So I'm talking about the question number 1, 2, and 3, and try to compare them with the correction. The sentence number 1, if there an eclipse in the day, we the sun. Here we are talking about conditional 0. It means all the verbs are in simple present. If there is the verb to be in simple present. If there is an eclipse in the day, we can't see the sun. So here we have a modal verb in simple present. When you are in a room, do as the Romans do. Okay, so here it is a kind of proverb. It means when you visit any new country, so you have to do like them in terms of their culture and their traditions. Sentence number 3. Water pours if you turn the tap. Okay, we have the verb in simple present. People don't look at the sun if there is a solar eclipse. Now, the exercise number 2. If you eat an apple every day, you will be very healthy. If we don't protect elephant, so if we don't save them, they will become extinct. He will pay higher insurance if he buys or doesn't buy a sport car. So which means if I have a very expensive car, so of course I have to pay a lot of money. She will see better if she turns on the lamp. She will see, because here we start with the main clause. You will have a heart disease if you eat too much meat. You won't, it means you will not pass or succeed the course if you don't study very well. If a deer gets into your garden, it will eat all your plants. The last exercise now. Complete the conditional sentence with the form of conditional one. We start with if clause. It means the verb in simple present. If you eat an ice cream, you will have a hot chocolate. If she needs a computer, her brother will give her his computer. Here we have the verb have, but in negative form. And remember, if we have to conjugate the verb in a simple present and in negative form, she, he, it doesn't, and the other pronoun don't. If we don't have time this afternoon, we will meet tomorrow. He will talk to her if you don't want to do it. You will not win, so you can put not like this or won't. You will not or you won't win the game if you don't know the rules. So I think that our lesson today is very simple and very clear. Let's move to production to test your knowledge in this lesson. Write 4 sentences using conditional 0. So it means any sentence talking about a fact. Write 4 sentences using conditional 1. It means something that is likely to happen in the future. And don't forget to apply the rule and the form of conditional 0 and conditional 1. Thank you so much for your attention, and see you in the next video.